The gym was busy. Weights clanged. Music thumped. Sweat filled the air. It was the kind of place where everyone minded their own business. People trained hard. People focused on themselves. People came to improve. In one corner, a man worked quietly. No crowd, no camera, no attention. Steven Seagal. He wore simple gym clothes. No logos, no attitude. Just calm breathing and steady movement. Across the room, 3 young men noticed him. They watched his form, they whispered. They laughed. One of them nudged the other and pointed. "Look at this guy," he said. "Old man thinks he belongs here." The others laughed, louder. Not quietly, not respectfully, openly, mockingly. Steven did not react. He kept training, focused, unbothered. But the laughter grew, so did the comments. "He's too slow, he's too weak, he's in the wrong place." People nearby heard it. Some ignored it. Some felt uncomfortable. No one stepped in. The bullies enjoyed the attention. They liked the reaction. They liked the power they felt in that moment. One of them pulled out his phone, started recording, zoomed in. "This is going online," he said. "Watch this." Steven still did not respond. Not with words, not with anger, not with emotion. He simply continued his workout. Steady, controlled, focused. To the bullies, this looked like weakness. To them, it looked like fear. To them, it looked like surrender. But it was none of those things. What they did not know was who he was. What they did not know was what kind of power looks quiet. They thought they were hunting an easy target. They thought they were about to create content. They thought they were about to embarrass a stranger. They were wrong, very wrong, because in that gym on that ordinary day, in that noisy, crowded room, they were standing inches away from a man who had spent decades mastering control, discipline, and real strength. And they were about to learn the difference between loud confidence and silent power. Have you ever seen someone get judged before being understood? It was daytime at the gym. Sunlight streamed through large windows. The air smelled of rubber mats and clean towels. Music played softly in the background, not too loud, not too quiet, just enough to keep energy moving. People lifted weights. Some pushed themselves hard. Some moved slowly. Some talked between sets. Trainers walked the floor, correcting form, encouraging clients, keeping the rhythm of the room steady. Everything felt normal. Steven trained quietly in one corner. Loose workout clothes. No flashy gear, no attention-seeking. He moved with control, each motion smooth, each breath steady, each rep deliberate. He did not rush, he did not compete, he did not compare himself to anyone else. He simply trained. To anyone watching, he looked like an ordinary man. Not weak, not strong, just focused. No one recognized him, no one whispered his name, no one pointed. He was invisible in the best way. Across the gym, people were busy with their own goals. Someone trained for weight loss. Someone trained for strength. Someone trained for confidence. Every person had a reason for being there. Every person had a story. Every person had a struggle, and no one expected anything unusual to happen. This was not a competition. This was not a fight. This was not a stage. It was just a gym. Just another day. Just another workout. Steven finished one set and wiped his hands. He took a slow sip of water. He checked his breathing. No rush, no stress, no tension. He moved to the next exercise, positioned his body carefully, adjusted his stance, focused his mind. The world around him faded, without needing attention. Around him, the gym continued its rhythm. Weights dropped, shoes squeaked, people laughed. No alarms, no conflict, no warning, just a peaceful, normal moment before everything changes. Because the most dangerous moments do not feel dangerous at all. They feel safe, they feel familiar, they feel routine. And that is why they catch people off guard. Steven did not come to make a statement. He did not come to prove anything. He did not come to fight. He came to train, to stay sharp, to stay disciplined. No one expected what was coming. Not the trainers, not the lifters, not the people nearby. Not even the ones who were about to cross the line. One bully mocked his form. Another laughed. A third recorded on his phone. They stood close enough for Steven to hear, not quietly, not accidentally, On purpose. Look at his posture. Does he even know what he's doing? He's way too old for this place. Their laughter echoed across the gym, not friendly, not playful, cruel. They called him old. They called him weak. They called him slow. Each word was meant to cut. Each comment was meant to humiliate. Each laugh was meant to embarrass. People nearby heard them. Some glanced over. Some felt uncomfortable. Some pretended not to notice. No one wanted trouble. No one wanted drama. So most people stayed silent. Steven ignored them. He kept training. He kept calm. He adjusted his grip. He focused his breathing. He continued his set. To the bullies, this looked like weakness. To them, it looked like surrender. To them, it looked like fear. But in reality, it was discipline. It was patience. It was control. The bullying continued. One of them walked closer. Too close. He leaned in and said louder, "You should try the retirement home instead." The others laughed harder. One clapped. One shook his head. The phone stayed recording. Steven still did not react. Not with anger, not with words, not with emotion. He simply finished his rep, slowly, smoothly, with control. That calm made them angrier. That silence challenged their ego. That lack of reaction felt like disrespect to them. So they pushed further. One bully kicked a weight plate lightly, not hard enough to cause damage, just enough to provoke, another said. "What's wrong, old man? Cat got your tongue." Steven took a breath. Deep, steady. He stood up. Not fast, not aggressive, not dramatic, just deliberate. He turned slightly, not toward them fully, just enough to show awareness. Still no anger, still no shouting, still no threat. But the bullies were not satisfied. They wanted a reaction. They wanted entertainment. They wanted content for their phone. They did not stop. They did not step back. They did not show respect. Instead, they crossed another line, and everyone around them felt it. The atmosphere shifted. The gym felt quieter. The energy changed, not because Steven did anything, but because the bullies had gone too far. They were no longer joking. They were no longer teasing. They were now attacking his dignity. Steven remained calm. But calm does not mean weak. Silence does not mean surrender. Control does not mean fear. And the bullies were about to learn that lesson in a way they would never forget. Steven paused, turned slowly, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of control. The gym was still loud, music played, weights moved. But something in the air had changed. For the first time, the bullies stopped laughing. Not because they were scared, but because they were surprised. Steven stood facing them, not aggressive, not tense, just calm. He could walk away. He knew that. He had ignored worse in his life. He had seen worse. He could also end this fast, very fast. Years of training, years of discipline, years of knowing exactly how to stop someone without losing control. But this moment was not about power. It was about respect. It was about dignity. It was about setting a boundary. Because silence had not worked, patience had not worked. Ignoring them had not worked. So now he chose something else, not violence, not shouting, not threats. He chose calm authority. Steven looked at the man holding the phone. Then at the one laughing. Then at the one who had stepped too close. His voice was low, even controlled. Train your body, train your mouth too. No insults, no curse words, no raised voice. Just a sentence. Simple, clear, unavoidable. The room grew quiet. Not instantly, not magically, but slowly. Music still played, but people stopped talking. People stopped lifting. People stopped moving. Eyes turned. Phones lowered. Conversations died. Everyone felt it. Because something powerful had just happened. Not a fight, not a threat, not a challenge. A boundary. The bullies were not used to this. They were used to fear. They were used to anger. They were used to reactions. They were not used to calm. They were not used to control. They were not used to someone standing tall without aggression. For a moment, none of them spoke. The one with the phone hesitated. The one who laughed stopped smiling. The one who had stepped close leaned back slightly. Not because they were afraid, but because they were unsure. And uncertainty is dangerous for people who live on confidence. Steven did not move closer. He did not raise his hands. He did not threaten. He simply stood, strong, balanced, unshaken. He was not trying to dominate them. He was not trying to embarrass them. He was not trying to humiliate them. He was giving them a chance to stop, a chance to walk away, a chance to save face. Because real strength does not need to crush. It only needs to set limits. The gym remained silent, not awkward silence. Heavy silence. The kind that comes before something changes. Steven held their gaze. Not staring. Not glaring, just steady. The message was clear. This ends here. You can walk away, or you can cross the line. And everyone in that room could feel which option was safer. The decision had been made, not by them, by him. Not to fight, not to rage, not to lose control, but to stand firm, to protect his dignity, to demand respect. And that calm decision was more powerful than any punch. The bullies surrounded him, not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, deliberately. One moved to his left, another stepped to his right. The third stayed in front. They wanted to trap him. They wanted to pressure him. They wanted to feel powerful. Won shoved his shoulder, not hard. Not enough to hurt, just enough to provoke. Laughter echoed across the gym. Not friendly laughter. Mocking laughter. Phones came out. Cameras rolled, eyes widened. This was no longer teasing. This was no longer joking. This was now a challenge. Steven stepped back, not in fear, not in weakness. In control, he moved his foot carefully, shifted his weight, positioned his body not away from them, into balance. People nearby froze, some backed away. Some held their breath. The gym felt smaller. The air felt heavier. The energy changed, one bully said. "What now, old man?" Another laughed. "You finally woke up." The third moved closer again, too close. Steven remained calm, his face unchanged, his breathing steady. Inside him there was no panic, no rage, no fear, only awareness. He was aware of distance. He was aware of balance. He was aware of angles. He knew where each man stood. He knew who was closest. He knew who was recording. This was not instinct. This was training. Years of discipline, years of control, years of knowing when to act. The bullies mistook his calm for weakness. They mistook his silence for submission. They mistook his stillness for fear. So they pushed further. One of them bumped his chest lightly. Not enough to injure, enough to insult. Another said, "You gonna cry?" The third zoomed in closer with the phone. "Get this. This is gold." The crowd around them grew, not cheering, not stopping it, just watching. That is how conflict grows. Not with fists, but with silence from others. Steven took another step back, again, not in fear, in control. He positioned himself so his back was clear, so no one stood behind him, so he could see everyone. This was not retreat. This was preparation. The bullies did not see that. They saw space. They saw weakness. One bully raised his hand. Not yet strike, just threatening. "You better watch your mouth." Steven looked at him calmly. Not angry, not emotional, not impressed. The gym was silent now. No music felt loud anymore. No weights dropped. No one spoke. Every eye was on them. Every breath felt heavier. This was the edge, the moment before something breaks. Steven did not move. He did not speak. He did not blink. His posture was relaxed, but his balance was perfect. The bullies were no longer joking. They were no longer laughing. They were now tense. Their confidence began to crack, because real confidence is quiet. And his silence was louder than their noise. One bully finally stepped too far. He shoved Steven again, harder this time, not enough to knock him down. He knocked across the final line. That was the moment everything changed, not because of anger, not because of revenge, not because of pride, but because the boundary had been broken. Steven did not stumble. He did not react emotionally. He did not shout. He simply shifted, and in that shift there was power. There was precision. There was certainty. The bullies felt it. The crowd felt it. The room felt it. Something had moved, not physically yet, but mentally, the balance of control had changed hands. And they did not realize it yet, but they were no longer in charge of what happened next. One bully swung, not wildly, not blindly, but with anger. He aimed for Steven's face, not to scare, to hurt. Steven moved, not fast, not slow, perfect, smooth, precise. He did not block with strength. He did not meet force with force. He did not strike back. He stepped slightly offline, redirected the arm, changed the angle, used balance, not force. The bully's weight shifted. His center of gravity collapsed. His momentum betrayed him. In less than a second, he was no longer attacking. He was falling. The bully hit the floor. Not slammed. Not injured. Just surprised. The others froze not, because they were scared, because they were confused. They did not understand what just happened. They saw no punch. They heard no impact. They felt no explosion, yet their friend was on the ground. The gym was silent, no shouting, no cheering, no chaos. Sonly stillness. Steven did not chase. He did not taunt. He did not threaten. He remained standing, balanced, calm. His breathing did not change. His face did not change. His posture did not change. The bully on the floor looked up, stunned, embarrassed, confused. He expected pain. He expected rage. He expected retaliation. He got control. Steven spoke quietly, not loudly, not angrily. "This is over." 3 words, clear, final. The other bullies took a step back, not together. Not dramatically, instinctively. They suddenly felt space where confidence used to be. They suddenly felt doubt where pride once lived. They suddenly felt small. Bones lowered. Recording stopped. Laughter disappeared. No one was smiling now. The gym remained silent. Not awkward silence. Respectful silence. People did not clap. People did not cheer. People did not shout. They watched, because what they had just seen was not a fight, was not violence, was not domination. It was mastery. Steven did not use power. He used precision. He did not use strength. He used timing. He did not use anger. He used awareness. That is the difference between a fighter and a master. A fighter reacts. A master controls. Steven looked at the bully on the floor, not with hate, not with pride, not with superiority, with calm. "You are not hurt," he said. "You are just off balance." The bully said nothing. He nodded slowly, still processing. The other bullies did not move. They did not speak. They did not threaten. Their confidence was gone. The crowd held its breath, not in fear, in respect. Because something rare had happened. A man had been attacked. He had defended himself, without violence, without rage, without humiliation. Steven had not embarrassed them. He had not hurt them. He had not punished them. He had simply stopped them. And that is real control. Security began moving toward the scene. Not running, not rushing, just responding. Steven did not leave. He did not hide. He did not explain himself loudly. He stood calmly. The bully on the floor slowly got up, not angry, not aggressive, just quiet. His friends did not support him with jokes. They did not encourage him. They did not defend him. They looked away. The energy had completely shifted. The hunters now felt hunted. The loud now felt small. The confident now felt unsure. Steven took one small step back. Not retreat, not escapes, space. Space for everyone to breathe. Space for everyone to calm down. Space for the moment to end. He did not escalate. He did not continue. He did not dominate. He ended it. No punches, no rage, only control. And in that control, there was more power than any fight could ever show. Gym staff rushed in, not aggressively, not angrily. Professionally, they separated the group. They checked for injuries. They restored order. The bullies backed away, not proudly, not confidently, quietly. Their faces had changed. No smirks, no laughter, no attitude. Only embarrassment, only regret, only silence. Steven picked up his bag slowly. Calmly, respectfully, he did not look around for praise. He did not look for attention. He did not look for approval. He simply gathered his things. His movements were steady. His breathing was normal. His expression was unchanged, as if nothing unusual had happened. But everything had changed. People stared. Not with fear, not with excitement. With respect. Some nodded, not cheering, not clapping, acknowledging. A quiet understanding passed through the room. Steven was not a hero. He was not a showman. He was not a performer. He was a disciplined man who had chosen control over chaos, respect, over rage, silence, over noise. The bully who had fallen stood nearby. He did not approach Steven. He did not argue. He did not defend himself. He simply looked down. The other bullies stood behind him, not speaking, not laughing, not recording. The phone that had been raised earlier was now in a pocket. The video that was meant to humiliate was never uploaded. Not because of fear, but because of shame. Security spoke quietly to them. Not yelling. Not threatening. Firm. The bullies nodded. They listened. They complied. No handcuffs. No drama. No shouting. Just consequences. Steven walked toward the exit. Not fast. Not slow. Normal pace. As he passed people, some made eye contact. Some looked away. Some nodded again. No one said anything, because nothing needed to be said. The lesson had already been delivered. Outside, the gym sunlight hit his face. Fresh air filled his lungs. He took a breath, not in relief, not in victory, in peace. Because the situation had ended without anyone being hurt, without anyone being humiliated, without anyone losing control. That is rare. Most confrontations end with damage. 2 bodies, 2 egos, 2 reputations. This one ended with respect. And that is powerful. Inside the gym, people slowly returned to their workouts. Music resumed. Weights moved again. But the energy was different. Quieter, more aware, more respectful. People were thinking about what they had seen, thinking about what they had learned, thinking about how easily things can escalate, and how quickly they can end when someone chooses discipline. The bullies were escorted out. Not dragged, not pushed, not embarrassed, simply removed. They walked with their heads down, not because they were injured, because they were humbled. That humility would stay with them longer than any bruise, longer than any pain, longer than any punishment. Steven did not look back. He did not wait to see reactions. He did not wait to hear comments. He did not wait for validation. Because real strength does not wait for applause. Real strength does not need recognition. Real strength simply moves on. And that is what he did. Final lesson. Strength is not noise. It is discipline. Strength is not shouting. It is restraint. Strength is not domination. It is control. Strength is not proving others wrong. It is staying right. And in that gym, on that ordinary day, in that quiet resolution, everyone learned that the most powerful person in the room is not the loudest, not the biggest, not the angriest. It is the one who protects his dignity without taking someone else's. It is the one who sets boundaries without breaking people. It is the one who chooses discipline over ego, control over chaos. And that is real strength.